Hello, and I hope everyone is enjoying our FIT conference. My name is Adam Myers, and I'm Head of Cyber Sales at CyberLab. And with me today, I have Adam Hartley from Forcepoint. So all the Adams. So I'm going to talk to you today around Data First SASE. So first of all, what is Data First SASE? I think there's a misconception within the industry and lots of different words that sort of fly around. And how do businesses start that SASE journey? I guess what business benefits will it bring? And for me, it's that balancing act between security and functionality and maximizing productivity. So CyberLab are a titanium partner with Forcepoint, and we work very closely to deliver data-first SASE solutions for our key clients. So Adam is going to talk to you today around the Forcepoint One solution and all the benefits that brings, and that single vendor solution, which we're seeing real success in the marketplace with. So let's kick things off, and I'll hand you over to Adam now to discuss in more detail.
Thanks for that, Adam. So we're all here today because fundamentally cybersecurity is about securing data, and that's the fundamental basis of SASE. So to give you an understanding of why we're here is that as a foundation of a product set, Gartner itself a few years ago estimated that the SASE marketplace worldwide was going to be $15 billion with a compound annual growth rate of 36%. What we've actually seen last year and this year is that was vastly underestimated, and it's much larger, and we should see another report from Gartner soon on that. So a few people on this call may be wondering, so what is SASE? And SASE is basically a starting point. So we all have issues with our data being everywhere and our employees being everywhere, and trying to secure that and give a good user experience is really hard to do for organizations, especially when you've got limited IT teams infrastructures. If you're an enterprise with 10,000 employees and an IT team of 200, then it's a bit easier. But when you're a smaller organization of 500 users or less, it becomes really hard to manage those. And this is where Gartner came with SASE. If you look at Forrester, they have their Zero Trust Edge, but for Gartner, which is the most popular one, that's SASE. And the whole idea of SASE, which is Secure Access Service Edge, is about simplifying your security stack whilst also giving it unity with your networking stack. So the whole idea around this is that it's built on zero trust, and zero trust means that we don't trust anything. So if we look at it from, say, for instance, an airport when you go through security is zero trust. You're not trusted about anything. You're always checked for every single thing that you're doing, for where you're going, what you've got with you, what you're trying to do. Whereas if we look at, for instance, getting on a bus, that is implicit trust. We're trusting you to be a good person to get onto that bus. You've just got to pay the fare, aka I need to know how to connect to my resources. Underneath that zero trust actual level interaction from a user and resources, you've got the security stack. So that's your CASB, so that's Cloud Access Security Broker. And then you've got Secure Web Gateway and Zero Trust Network Access. And to simplify that a little bit, because we're the IT industry, we like acronyms. So CASB is about giving secure access to SaaS applications. Secure Web Gateway is about giving secure access to websites. And CTNA is about giving secure access to your private applications, whether that be in the office, in your data centers, or in infrastructure as a service. For Forcepoint, we also build into this data security, because fundamentally, if we're putting these security products in place, it's great about giving access, but we also need to be aware of the context of that. Am I going to, for instance, the BBC website itself to go and view that? That's perfectly fine, but it's not okay if I'm then going to upload sensitive data into that website. And build off of that is threat prevention. So that's obviously standard things like antivirus, but that can be things like sandboxing, remote browser isolation, where we take the dangerous websites or unknown, unclassified, and do that in a remote browser for you so that your users are completely safe. Or CDR, which is about giving zero trust to file downloads. I don't trust any file download. I'm just going to extract the good bits for what I know should be in a Word document or a PDF and present that as a brand new document that's guaranteed safe. And on the other side of that, that's all the good things about a security stack, but what about SD-WAN? SD-WAN fundamentally is about making sure that your users from your offices have a really good experience and get the smartest way to either websites, SaaS applications, private applications, or just the web in general in the most effective and less disruptive way to your users. And that's why we include that together, because it's about making all of this simple, but also in a unified platform. So if we look at, for instance, the challenges for what we see in our customer base, it's very much around a lot of customers are still trying to give access to on-prem applications with the challenges of VPNs, whilst also having an accelerated use from the business for SaaS applications, but also because we're moving away from some on-premise applications, moving to infrastructure as a service like Azure, Google Cloud, Alibaba Cloud, I've seen in emerging markets. All of these pain points built in with that remote user, BYOD, and contractor perspectives is causing a real amount of headaches, because how do I give all of this access and protection whilst also being able to make sure that my users are having a good experience? I'm saving costs. I'm making sure that we're putting consistent policies in place, making sure that our costs are not there, that I'm not installing 12 agents on our devices, and also that we're giving access and controlling how our data is being used, from a visibility perspective, but also controlling how data is shared. So a real key example of this is that we have been doing, and you've been doing as well, about sharing your data, obviously from the endpoint. There's default protections within Microsoft that stop that from happening. But what happens if you do that within Word itself? It never leaves Microsoft from that perspective for when you go and share. Normally it's done on email or it's done through the endpoint controls. But how do you go in and do that? And again, all of these are really big issues for customers and where SASE addresses them. So before we move on to the next one, I just wanted to have a quick chat with Adam to see if this is, obviously from us as a vendor perspective, this is what we're seeing. But what about yourself? Are you and Chess and your customers seeing those same challenges?
Yes, 100%. So for me, I think that migration from MPLS to SD-WAN has created a sort of a challenge of where to start for organizations. So it's almost that data first SASE journey and sort of starting that and understanding the concepts of what it is and how to sort of go about that journey. And I compare it a little bit to the cloud journey that businesses have been on for the sort of last sort of 5 or 6 years or whatever. And I can really see similarities in terms of starting that journey and working with a partner to sort of get the right advice as to how you sort of do that. So I think the guys at Forcepoint definitely can help there, and it's how we sort of bring that consultative approach to data first SASE.
100%. So out of all of those pain points and those challenges, I wanted to really home into 3 key use cases for what we see, especially in the mid-market. So the big use cases is remote users, third parties, and contractors. And through my years of experience at Forcepoint, it'd be interesting to see how you do access control to these applications, your SaaS applications, but also your private applications. I've seen instances where organizations have intellectual property through CAD drawings, have shared with contractors and third parties at a Google address. And it's about being able to put a security platform in front of those so that you gain the visibility, but also the access control for how people are accessing those. Because normally you can't put an agent in place. You can't tell them or control their industry's domains. So it's about being able to put something that will interact with you and your organization and giving them access on what we call agentless. So I don't need to put an agent. I don't need to install a VPN client. I don't need to install a certificate. You could do that if you needed to, but you don't need to. And that, as a first step, it gives you full access and visibility into what's actually happening from day one. So obviously, if you set up this for your SaaS applications and your private applications, at least you know who's accessing what from a fundamentals perspective. If we then go on to the sensitive and the pure data perspective, a good first step for us and for what we speak with customers about is the misuse of sensitive data. So that could be from managed devices, but it's also from BYOD or third parties contractors. Again, same similar use case, but different application. Because how do you protect your sensitive data from being uploaded, say, for instance, to ChatGPT from a web perspective? Or how do I make sure that we're keeping our third parties and contractors from uploading malicious content into our OneDrive? Or vice versa, how do we stop them from accessing our PII data with a third party marketing organization and giving that granular access, but also putting the data security in place? The final one, and it's an interesting one because it's that debate between VPNs and the next step in VPNs. So obviously the user base has changed for all of us, and all of our users have gained a new level of expectations from applications in the move to SaaS. And what ZTNA, so private application security, and its objective is to make a private application as good as a SaaS application from an access, control, and user experience perspective. So can I provide remote, fast, and secure access to my business resources? So it could just be a private application, but it could be, for instance, to servers that you would SSH to or RDP to, for instance. We can all do that without the complexity and the maintenance of VPNs because an IP address has changed or something else has changed in there as well. So this is where we've come up and brought to the market, which is Forcepoint 1, and it's data first SASE. And the data first is how we differentiate in the market. We've been doing SASE as different technologies and data security for 20 plus years. We know what protecting the websites are, for what your SaaS applications are, and what your private applications are as well, whilst also being one of the best from a data security perspective in the industry. And that is, from an analyst perspective, we can prove that, and we've got many reports on that, and you can speak to your Chess account manager to gain access to those. But fundamentally, it's your remote users, your BYOD users, and your offices all feeding into one security platform, regardless of how you're accessing, say, the web or your private applications in one place. If you set one set of data security policies and have that, you apply those to those channels. So web, SaaS, private. And being able to do access very easily. I only have to have one set of user policies so that when I'm setting Microsoft policies, it's all in one place instead of in 13 different applications. We're also based in AWS, the biggest hyperscaler in the world from there. And if you're in Azure, that's perfectly fine because where there's an AWS, Azure's right next door. There's lots of technologies for us in place at Forcepoint for you and help you in your journey. It's all available in one place with one platform for you to do that. And with that, I'm going to hand back to Adam.
Brilliant, thank you. I think, yeah, the Forcepoint 1 idea and that single vendor solution provider is really key. I think the likes of DLP, CASB, ZTNA, all in that sort of single Forcepoint 1 solution stack. That's where we see, yeah, real market-leading technology there. So, Adam, I think you've sort of created a spark there in terms of a conversation start for a lot of businesses. I think they're going through this journey, and it's about sort of that next step. So I guess for us, if you're looking at this in more detail, it's about sort of maybe reaching out, and there will be a QR code which will flash up now in terms of that next step. So we can introduce some of the wider team, the sales engineers, and they can help you with that journey and sort of, yeah, taking you on that path with the SASE journey. So thank you, Adam. That was brilliant. Great sort of conversation starter. And if you need us for anything else, then just reach out. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.